Alright everyone, Cowboy Trades here, welcome back to the channel for another quick update on Solana. So for the past 4 weeks, Solana's managed to pump up approximately 213%, and because of this, we're pumping up to some significant resistances that I want to talk about in this video. Fibonacci's, bull market support bands, volume profiles, range lows. Let's talk about all of this and more. So like we previously mentioned on the channel, quite recently, 4 weeks ago to be precise, on the 26th of December, we came down to one of our first macro price targets between $10 and $8. We landed on this volume profile and had a huge move to the upside. I personally pushed up higher than I predicted, but nonetheless, we are at this moment in time running into some very significant macro resistances that I want to talk about. So right off the back, we'll talk about Sol BTC in terms of the Fibonacci's in just 1 second. If we start off on the Sol USD pair, you can see we blasted through this volume profile, and we are also, if we hide the bull market support bands, heading up to the next area where there is a decent amount of previous volume traded. You can see this volume cluster really starts to kick in around about $25, $26, which is where we're currently residing. The point of control starts kicking in around about $30 to $32. Although I personally don't believe we'll be pushing up this high. I'm going to make a video talking about the stock market a little bit later on, and also talking about my thoughts on Bitcoin, and it looks like, at least in my opinion, a top for both of these markets is coming very near. So I do believe the local top for Solana before that next breakdown is also going to be coming very soon. So, you know, number one, we are coming into contact with these VPVR clusters, and if we also look at these range lows right here, you can see wicks, candle body closes, wick. And also, you know, once again, this is the wick of the previous range that we resided at $25.6. You can see that we're currently pushing up. If I fat fingered this a tiny bit, but there you go. You can see range lows are right here. Let me change the color of the box to green. You can see, while we are having a very huge bounce at this moment in time, in the macro time frame, we are still making lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, another lower high right here, lower lows, and this is still, once again, another lower high. Unless we push above $38.81, then we will still be making lower lows and lower highs. Now, separate to this, you can also see, if we do pull up the bull market support bands right now, we are currently pushing above. Well, I say we're pushing above. If we look at the wicks, for the past 2 weeks, we tried to push above these bull market support bands, and it looks like we're getting trapped underneath them. The long-term moving average on the bull market support bands is currently coming in at $24.40 for Solana, and what's interesting is if we clear up this chart and simply focus on the bull market support bands, where did we top out for Solana? We topped out around about 260, just above the bull market support bands. We went down, back tested them, bounced back up, and instead of pushing up higher and having a successful retest, we M'd out, made a lower high, and broke to the downside. After this happened, we bounced back up and topped out just above the bull market support bands. After then, the next time that we revisited it, I mean, you can see over here, we almost approached the bull market support bands. We didn't quite make it, so I won't encompass this data point, but since then, since this move around about $144 or so, we broke down and bounced back up, and you can see we retested the bull market support bands at $38.72 right here. And once again, the price at this moment in time is currently sitting at $23.30. So these macro retests of the bull market support bands happen very far and few. I mean, this is the 3rd time in this entire bear market that we've had a bearish retest just above the bull market support bands. And once again, if you look at the times where we've retested $145, $39, and once again $25 down here, approximately $25.25 if you really want the exact value. But once again, looking at this is a telltale sign, in my opinion, that Solana is very topped out at this moment in time. And this isn't the only metric that we'll use to discuss whether Solana's topped out. We'll check out the oscillators in the higher time frames and the lower time frames in just a second. But in terms of the Sol USD pair, that's really all I wanted to share with you. I mean, once again, these range lows round about this $25.9 region are extremely important, and we are also coming into contact with the next volume profile. I do believe this is going to be a quick liquidity grab, and once again, you know, these range lows also beautifully line up with the start of this volume cluster, previous candle body closes, wicks, and once again, this is the area that we're running into resistance with, and this also beautifully lines up with the bull market support bands. Now, if we move on from here, Sol BTC is also very important to keep your eyes on, because if we are looking at this very specific Fibonacci now, personally, most of the time when I do draw Fibonaccis, I do draw them from the bottom of the range down here. So I would also just like to show you very quickly that if you are looking at the fib from low to high, we are actually technically just above the 786 Fibonacci right now, which isn't saying too much considering we absolutely melted through the floorboards of this 786 Fibonacci a while ago. I do believe this is kind of just a macro retest of this 786 Fibonacci region. But what's interesting is if you look at these range lows round about I forgot we're not looking at the Sol USD pair, so you can look at the right side of the screen if you want the valuation. I won't be saying all the zeros for this. But if you basically draw from this range low round about the 15th of March 2021, all the way up to the swing high on the Solana BTC pair, what you can see is very interesting is, you know, we were establishing this range. We bounced on this 786 Fibonacci. We held it as support very temporarily. We moved up after tagging the 786 and got rejected for so long underneath the 618. We then plummeted through the floorboards, found a little bit of support at these previous range lows in May, and then we bounced up, and at this moment in time, the Sol BTC pair is beautifully retesting this Fibonacci's 786 fib region. And once again, just like the Sol USD pair, this is beautifully lining up with previous range lows. This is beautifully lining up with Solana's bull market support bands. And in my opinion, I really think the next move to the downside for Solana is coming very soon. You can see for the past 4 days, we have been struggling to get above this. And once again, just like we see over here, you know, Solana topped out, we broke beneath them, we came back up and retested, poked your head above it, had a rejection, broke down, poked your head above it and had a rejection, broke down, poked your head above it and had a rejection here. This was like a double top. And then once again, we've broken down and we haven't actually poked our head above this, so do take that into consideration. But as you can see, if we line up these data points every time you come into the bull market support bands, whether it's on the Sol USD pair, whether it's on the Sol BTC pair, you do start moving to the downside. Now, at least I'm just following the trend on this one. If the market starts to pivot, if the stock market starts to pivot, if Bitcoin starts to pivot, and Solana starts breaking above its bull market support bands, that is a completely different story. But at this moment in time, I'm just going with the flow of the markets. I'm looking at, you know, I make videos on my channel. If this is the first time you've watched me, we don't just look at Bitcoin, we don't just look at Solana. I'm one of the few cryptocurrency YouTube channels which makes a lot of S&P 500 content. We look at liquidity conditions. So right now, the S&P 500 is coming into a macro trend line. Liquidity conditions are topped out. The S&P 500 Fear and Greed Index is just coming in at 66. A little bit earlier today, it was at 68, only a few points away from extreme greed. The Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index is coming in at 51. We're in a bear market, and we've just ticked into neutral territory, which in my opinion means we're very overextended right now. So once again, you know, we've looked at Sol USD, we've talked about all these different technicals, metrics. We've looked at this Fibonacci retest of the 786. We've looked at the bull market support bands, volume profiles, previous range lows. Let's wrap up this video talking about what the oscillators say about the next move for Solana. So on the weekly time frame, let's start off with the only bullish signal right now. And it's kind of a double-edged sword, because we are pushing into neutral territory right now for the squeeze momentum indicator. We are still in dark green, indicative that we're bearish. Bears are still in control in the higher time frames, of course. But with that being said, the closer and closer we get to neutral, the more likely it is that we're going to have an explosive move back down to the downside. You can see what happened. Once again, like I said, I mean, technically, you know, us pushing into neutral can be considered a bullish indicator. However, like I said, it's a double-edged sword, because as you can see over here, when it was the 31st of October, we tried to push into bullish territory. And what happened? We reset momentum, and what was the price? The price was at $39, and we absolutely nuked through the floorboards. Now, bear in mind, this did link up with a FUD news event. Although you could just say this was beautiful timing. The market seemed to have a beautiful way of timing in these bearish events as we do come up for, you know, neutral retests in the market. So once again, this is a double-edged sword. So I would be definitely saying, you know, this is more bearish than bullish, but, you know, technically speaking, if we do start pushing into green territory, it could be bullish. However, I think we're going to reset and start nuking to the downside for that next major move. Once again, still on the weekly time frame. If we look at the MFI, the money flow index, you can see liquidity conditions are starting to push up very, very strongly. The MFI is currently sitting at 55, and we're approaching this descending trend line. This comes into fruition around about 60. So once again, like I said at the start of the video, there's no guarantee that we top out at this exact price right now. It's possible that we push up a little bit higher and grab liquidity from this big old volume cluster before starting to head to the downside. Although, you know, based on the analysis I'm going to do on the S&P 500 later and also looking at Bitcoin, I don't think it's likely that the markets push up too much further. So once again, squeeze momentum indicator flipping over into neutral territory. MFI is coming back up to this heart line, or is coming back up to this trend line, and it is exceeding the heart line at the 50 valuation on the MFI. The stochastic RSI is the highest it's been since the 13th of September 2021. What was the price looking at round about this time when the blue moving average was sitting at 85? Well, the price was sitting at $178. And yes, we pushed up a little bit further, about $80 further, but this area right here was pretty much the top as the stochastic topped out. And once again, you have to remember, if we're looking at the stock topped out and actually called this peak over here. So with that being said, the stochastic is extremely overextended right now on the weekly. And when we come over to the daily, the stochastic on the daily has already started to flip bearish. If we look at the price action, the last time this started to flip bearish was when we were at $14.50 and we broke down into new lows at $8. The MFI, if I remove this trend line now, you can see, do we have a macro trend line in place right here? This looks more like a horizontal ray to me, but nonetheless, once again, you know, we're approaching this level where we're extremely overextended in terms of liquidity conditions. This just topped out at 89 and has started to head down. And if we finish off on the daily with the squeeze momentum indicator, this is one of the largest rallies that we've had. In fact, we haven't had a rally like this since April. And once again, this was another huge blow off local top round about $145. So there are so many signs right now saying that Solana is extremely overextended in terms of the oscillators. Its Sol BTC pair is retesting important Fibonacci's, retesting important range lows, retesting bull market support bands, and you know, the same with Sol USD. We're coming into volume profiles, we're coming into range lows, we're coming into bull market support bands. There's a lot of worrying signals right now if you are a Solana bull. So once again, if you want more of my analysis, I'm going to be making an S&P 500 video later, and I've also got a Bitcoin video ready to upload a little bit later on. I want to get these altcoin updates out so I can post my S&P 500 and Bitcoin videos for the last segment of the day. So that's all I've got for the Solana video. Once again, it looks like we're getting ready to top out. If I do see a trade, if I do start to see Solana top out around this region and oscillators start to turn down even further, there is a possibility that I will be entering a new trade over on Solana. For today, my friends, that's all I've got for you. If you do enjoy the content, be sure to let me know down below by leaving a like and a comment. Share the videos with your friends. And if you do want more of my data, economic posts, charts, memes, be sure to head over to my Twitter at 618_cowboy. All I've got for you today, as always, it's been your boy Cowboy Trades. I'm out. Peace.